Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Parenting Tools Podcast.
The Parenting Tools Podcast.
I'm channeling my inner weatherman. With myself, Jordan.
And myself, Jason. On today's show, you can expect... I can't even do that. This is the podcast where two dads talk about life, parenting, and an awful lot of being tired.
Too much being tired.
Amen.
Sweet, I'm so tired. Sweet, I'm so tired. You treat me this way.
So, Jace, I want to kick off today's episode with some bad personal news.
Ooh. Oh, that's a good tone.
Well,
A turn.
I found my first grey hairs
Ah,
yesterday.
I've got several.
Well, I haven't now. I plucked them out. But they were in my eyebrow.
I was not expecting that. That's brilliant.
Well, so yeah, so if you listen to this podcast and don't watch it, I've got blonde hair, and in summer it goes very blonde. So I don't anticipate to have grey hair anytime soon, and even if I did, I don't think I'd notice them because I've got very light hair. My eyebrows are dark, so I was looking in the mirror yesterday, and just noticed that my eyebrows were a bit kind of rough. I thought, oh, just smooth them down. Just noticed the grey hair in my eyebrow. I thought, what's that doing there? And then I noticed too, I had another one. So I got my first grey hairs.
Well, I was scrolling through my phone with some photos with my daughter, as you do, and landed on a photo which I assumed was like 10 years ago. I looked at the date. It was literally the month before my daughter was born.
Yeah.
Which is 2.5 years ago today, and I literally look 10 years older. I just look haggard now.
I think that with the early TikToks we did, I just think I've lost a lot of hair and I looked a lot better. Maybe it's because it was summer. Had a tan on the go, a bit of a glow. So we'll have to compare June with June last year. Do year on year.
I think aging just increases like the rate when you have children. Like every 1 year of being a parent is like 7 years of not being a parent.
Snowballs.
It's like dog years.
I always look at people like Ryan Gosling and Ryan Reynolds and George Clooney who like hit 45 and just got better looking.
Yeah.
And I think
There's still hope.
yeah, 14 years to go before we hit rock bottom and bounce.
Is that the age that the kids leave home?
Must be, yeah. Yeah, it must be.
I think there's a theory there.
Yeah. Probably is a little bit of a theory
I don't know
there.
if any of them have children. So,
Well, Jace, I've got a little bit of a story that I think you'll appreciate being a man of the cloth.
I sell fabrics if you're new to the podcast.
You like textiles? So we always do evening prayers with our kids, kind of trying to just teach them to be grateful for the day and thank God for the day and that kind of stuff. Nothing too heavy. And my wife's had conjunctivitis. Ooh. So she's had a very swollen, very red eye.
Bit like Rocky.
Yeah, it is. It's like someone, don't know who, has punched her in the face. It's better now. It looked terrible. And funny story, she took in some photos to her class and she was doing a lesson on like genetics and things that we inherit from our parents. So she said, this is a picture of me and my sister and my mum from like the 90s. And she had red eye on the photo. She said, what's changed? What's similar? And one of the boys went, well, you've got red eye there and you've got red eye now. So she said to my son, as we were praying, she went, can you pray that mummy's eye gets better? So he goes, dear God, thank you for mummy's eye. I don't know why she's got pink eye. but please make it better. Amen.
That's brilliant.
Hands out. I don't know why. She's got pink eye. We're both trying to hold it together. So yeah, that was a funny one.
Well, my daughter. So at church on Sunday. So if you are genuinely new, I don't sell textiles. I'm a minister, and on Sunday, my 2-year-old daughter, after the service, likes to dance on the stage, and she picked up one of the microphones and she prayed for McDonald's.
Oh, come on now. They would arrive or
Just that we'd have it, and I'm always happy to
answer
help
that prayer.
fulfill that prayer. Yeah.
Other news, my cough is back.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I'm getting a cough today because do you know where I went today?
Soft play.
Soft play. The germ-filled, ridden soft play. Walked in, felt great. Walked out, felt like death. Yeah. I could just feel all the germs like working their way.
Walked in looking like death. Walked out feeling like death.
But talking of soft play, we'll come back to that later because I've got a little bit of a juicy nugget.
That sounds terrible.
That's like
A juicy nugget. You can't keep your juicy nugget.
it sounds painful, doesn't it?
Oh, wow.
Can see the doctor about that.
Mate, I wouldn't eat it. Wow.
Do you want to hear my dad joke
Yes,
of the week?
I do. Please. Get us off this rock.
You ready?
Go on. Wait, I'm going to try not to laugh.
At all?
Yeah, because I know people don't like dad jokes, but I love them.
Yeah, but this one might not be that funny.
So I'm going to deadpan it.
But that might be just your normal reaction as well to this joke.
Okay, I'm with you. I'll just be natural.
Be natural.
I'm going to try not to laugh.
To the guy who invented zero, thanks for nothing.
I can't help it. I love them so much. I love them so much. Thanks for nothing. What is zero?
Nothing?
What is zero?
What?
Well, like the word.
Another number.
Oh, I thought it was like an American product or something. Hey man, you want to get a zero?
What else would you call it?
I don't know.
Naught?
Well, thanks for nothing. Ah, right, there we go. Parenting one. I say that to my wife as a joke. So like if she, the other day she passed me a towel. She was like, oh, can you put this on the radiator? And I missed it and it fell on the floor. So I was like, oh, thanks for nothing.
Yeah.
But now my little boy started saying it to her. So I've noticed recently, I've just got to stop joking around him because
They pick it up without understanding the context.
the context.
Yeah.
So like one of my mates growing up always used to like take the mick out of his brother because he liked planes. So his brother would talk about planes and he'd go, boring, like that. So I started doing it to my wife. When like she was watching this Stacey Solomon. Wait, I won't. I like Stacey Solomon. But it's basically a program where Stacey Solomon goes around people's houses and helps them tidy up.
That sounds nice.
It sounds boring as. So she said to him, oh, Mummy wants to watch this program called Sort Your Life Out. I went, boring. Anyway, he heard it. And now every time she speaks this afternoon, he was going, it's boring. I'm like, okay, you can't say that. But I've said it.
Yeah.
So I've realised I just can't talk around him.
Just got to be really careful, haven't you, with kids?
Yep.
Not to be just a terrible human being.
Just not to be yourself. So yeah, can't say boring. Can't say thanks for nothing. But we've got some opening questions, and these are really nice.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's delightful.
Well, one of them's really nice.
Oh, there's the hate comments that we had.
So the first one is from Hannah on Instagram. It says, is the 4-month sleep regression really that bad? I feel like March is just staring me down.
I'm just going to go ahead and say yes.
That was going to be my response.
I actually don't know. I not only do I not really have a proper recollection of what happened, my memory's not great anyway. Our timings in the beginning are all kind of ruined anyway. So with Noah, she was born quite early, and so you're supposed to adjust their age. And so constantly, in the same sentence, you're talking of two different ages, their actual age and their adjusted age. To the point of I forgot how old she was at one point because I didn't know which one was the real one. By the age of 2, apparently it's supposed to level off and supposed to be all similar. So I have no idea 4 months or adjusted 4 months, which would have been 1 month. There's no way for me to gauge.
Yeah.
And also, just to top it all off, just to set yourself up, from my experience, has been just a constant regression.
That's the spirit.
Regression of sleep, not of joy.
Yeah. Are you sure? Well, I remember I think our first regression was about 6 months, maybe, not quite 4. And I remember being quite smug when we had our first, because I made a joke at work saying, "Oh, if he sleeps like his dad, we'll be fine." And one of the women was like, "You're in for a shock." And I was like, "Well, I know he's not going to sleep because he's a baby. Like, I'm just joking." But we found a really good rhythm quite early on, where he'd go to sleep at like 12, he'd wake up at 2 or 3, and then he'd wake up at 6. So the way I saw it, and back then had a bit more energy, it's just a late night. And my wife would do the wake up, so I'd go to work, I don't know, like fairly fresh, especially if I had an early night, get a few hours in before he woke up. And I was buzzing. I was like, yeah, he's brilliant. He's like a dream child. And then we had this regression, and I'm a different person, I'm telling you. And one of the guys at work,
That's where the grey hairs came from.
Oh, yeah, my eyebrows couldn't cope. And one of the guys, well, my eyebrow, they were both in the same one. And one of the guys was like, "Mate, you were so smug." I was like, "Well, I didn't mean to be smug. I was just like buzzing that, life was all right." And
Do you find that, like, when you ever gather with other parents where there's just everyone's smug at a different stage, especially if their child is younger than yours and yet to go through those stages? There's always that slight edge of judgment of, our child won't act like that when they get that old. And they do.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. None of our friends, because they're all wonderful. But yeah, it was. I didn't mean to be smug. I was just really like chuffed that we found this rhythm, we found this routine. And then when his first teeth started to come in, it's just game changer.
Teething, always a big issue.
Yeah, it was a real game changer. And then I found out, my wife found this thing out where when they learn something or they're about to learn something, go for a breakthrough stage, their sleep regresses. And then he started to roll over. So it was like, cool. And then we realized then that when his sleep regressed, we were expecting something, to kind of looking out for the signs, and something new would happen. So that was quite kind of nice.
I'm just thinking about that because we actually had a book which I actually recommend to anyone who's got kids or newborns. I actually can't remember who it was written by, but it's called Week by Week, and it takes you through every page as a week of the baby's life and the things to expect. And it talks about like the generic kind of sleep regressions or things that they're learning, and that was so helpful of just understanding of, oh, actually this is why they could be not sleeping as much or upset a little bit more. And I think like reality is kids are growing so quickly, things are changing so quickly that it's difficult to not, and we talk about this a lot, it's difficult to see, or to not see the end in sight.
Yeah.
Said that terribly. It's easy just to think this is it now forever.
Struggling to see the end in sight of that sentence. When you started it off, I could see you. I could see the.
I'm gonna be honest. I started that not knowing where I was going. But you know what I mean? It's like things change so quickly that actually in 2 weeks' time, even now with a 2-year-old, things could be completely different, and that's really hard to see when you're in the middle of it. I actually loved the first year, and I don't think I felt as tired as I do now. I think probably just pure adrenaline. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm not an expert though, so
it was pretty bad. Can't lie, Emily. Oh, Hannah, not Emily. Sorry. That's how bad it is. Sorry, Hannah. Well, we had another question from friend of the pod, Ma. Also about sleep regression. Best way to deal with sleep regressions. And I think once we'd kind of got that thing of, there's a regression because something new is going to happen. Yeah. That helped offset it a little bit, because it's kind of, there's something exciting to look forward to. He's learning something. My daughter was really good. And we've got a question for next episode that we'll come back to, with how I got her to sleep through a regression.
Well,
a little bit of a parenting hack.
Cool.
A little bit of a win. But yeah, that really did help with the regressions for me, that knowing there was a reason behind it, and that reason was a exciting development.
And half the battle is just that mental like expectation. Because if you're expecting just sleep to just constantly get better and it doesn't, you feel 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Which is why when you've got an older child and they don't sleep, and you expect them to, that feels horrible. Whereas when you're just expecting no sleep, it's a little bit easy to take.
Yeah. So thank you, Hannah, not Emily. Even mess up the most simplest of names. We got Mark wrong, and then I just got Hannah completely wrong. And the other question comes from a friend of mine, Sam, Uncle Sam. Proudest moment for your kids? And he's also put, keep up the great work, chaps.
Oh,
cheers, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. I've got a proud moment today.
Go on.
And I don't think I have a single proudest moment. I have many.
It's hard, isn't it?
Many moments where I'm really proud.
Yeah.
And I think they just stack. You know what I mean? They just what's the word? Not compile. Compound. Oh, there we go.
Collate.
Collate. I think there's just so many moments where I'm actually just so proud of my daughter. Whereas today, the moment that made me the most proud is went to soft play, as we mentioned earlier. This is the juicy nugget.
Is it?
It is. And
one second, I've got a jingle for it. Jason's juicy nugget.
So we at the soft play, and in the ball pit that was there was like these little soft pyramids in the middle, and like they're a little bit harder for 2-year-olds to climb, and Noah wanted to climb up it, and so she was trying to climb up this one, and this bigger boy, not massive, he wasn't a hench, just bigger than her, just came along and just pushed her off it while she was trying to climb it.
Oh no!
And previously to this incident, when she was like in an altercation with another child, I'd just move her away and like. I didn't really know how to handle it. At this moment, I thought, I'm just going to see what happens. And she rolled around the floor, stood straight back up, and as the boy was trying to climb back up the pyramid, she just went full pelt at him.
Bang.
Bang.
Have
knocked
it back.
him off, climbed at the top of the pyramid, just jumped off like nothing happened.
Good on her.
Proud moment.
But also, don't push people.
Yeah, don't push people, but
It's the balance.
it's one of those things, because like, their parent weren't really that bothered, and kids, like, they've got to learn these sorts of things as well.
Yeah.
And for me, I really want my daughter to know what's wrong, but also not be a pushover. And
a literal pushover.
A literal pushover. And like, if I tell her off for standing up for herself, I feel like that does disjustice to her. Because she's not done anything wrong. Well, maybe pushing the kid that hard, but he was fine. He got back up.
He asked for it.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's like a definite line of teaching good boundaries, but that makes sense.
Secret proud moment. Oh yeah, for sure.
I wasn't secret about it. The mum came over and she was like, "Are they all right?" I'm like, yeah, they're fine.
She won.
She's all right.
Yeah. So we had this yesterday. Well, we didn't. We were at soft play yesterday for a kids' party, as you do, during the game, as is more common these days, and. Although we got beaten and knocked out the cup, so didn't mind missing it. And these kids were just fighting. These lads were just these young lads. I'd say 3-4 years old, and I mean fighting like properly. This one kid was just a bit of a nutter, and he just kept going after everyone. But this one boy in particular, he took a disliking to, and we were sat next to his dad, the boy who was on the receiving end. And this lad just kept coming up to him, pushing him, and he was like roaring at him and like making funny faces. And he was just going for him, pushing him and scratching him. But the lad would just punch him in the face, like close fist, deck him. And then the lad that started it would start crying. But this kept happening. He just kept coming back and starting on him. And then this other lad would finish it. So the dad was there, and I felt really sorry for him because he was on his own and he had 2 kids to keep an eye on.
Wow.
And he kept going, stop hitting, like don't hit. But then this other kid just kept hitting his son first. So I said to Leanne, I was like, I don't see anything wrong with what that boy's doing. Like, someone keeps hitting him, he's just hitting him back, but better. He's just doing a better job of it. So it was a really, and I said to the guys, like, he's taking a disliking to your lad, isn't he? He went, oh, I think they're taking a disliking to each other. But I could tell he just didn't know what to do. because he didn't want to accept that his lad was punching someone, but also didn't want to tell him off for standing up for himself. So,
Yeah.
and you could see that all over his face and his body language, that he didn't know what to do about it.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do? And it is awkward because, like, I know, violence isn't a good option. I don't want my daughter to be a violent person, but it's that definite line of, like when you get older, like if someone like starts having a go in the supermarket, you're not just going to deck them.
If they deck you first, though.
Well, yeah, if it's self-defense, and that's probably the line of like self-defense, standing up for yourself,
Yeah.
not being a pushover, and it is so tough, especially when like the social dynamics as well. Like if both parents aren't involved, that's even more difficult.
Yeah.
Like I'd expect someone's parent to like be getting involved and telling them off in front of everyone, so at least everyone knows what's going on. But even that's awkward to do.
Yeah.
So
On the other side of the coin, the lad who was starting it all, his mum was there and she had a newborn, and so she's like trying to grab him and hold the baby, and like he'd just run away from her, and she couldn't keep up with him. She couldn't get him. I felt really sorry for her as well, because she was seeing it and she was trying to get hold of him, but she just couldn't because she had this baby. And
Yeah.
someone eventually did come and help and take the baby away, and she got hold of him and he was better after that. But yeah, he pushed my boy as well, and my lad shoved him back. So I was same. I was like, go on. But everyone was all right.
It's tough, isn't it?
Soft play. Yeah, soft play. But back to the question, proud moments. I had a really proud moment the other day. So when I take them to nursery, for speed and efficiency of time, I will carry my daughter in, because even though she's okay on her feet, she's still quite slow and often will fall over, and it's concrete. So I'll carry her in, and then Luke will walk in on his own. And this day, the car park was empty. There was no one there. Wasn't raining for once. I thought, do you know what? I'll let her walk in. And Luca just came behind her, and he put his hand like on her back. He was going, come on, this way. And he was like showing her where to go, and like just led her into nursery. He said morning to the woman on the door, and he was so gentle. And then she tripped, and he was like, oh, up you get. And he was just so lovely with his little sister. So that was really proud moment. That was like really proud moment for me. I said this recently, she's just doing new stuff every day. She's so chatty, and she's starting to push him back as well when he jumps on her and stuff. But she had a day off nursery recently, and when I took her in the next day, they like came to the door, oh, we've missed her so much, she's so funny. And they were just saying really nice things about how good she is and how they like having her and how funny she is. So that was really proud. But like you, it's just, they stack up, don't they? It's hard to pick them out. And this is going to sound, I need to figure out a better way of saying this. They've not achieved anything yet.
Take a look at your life. You're only 2.
But do you know what I mean? They've not like passed the driving test. No, like big.
They're not contributing to society yet.
No, they've not got their first job. But you know what I mean? Like in terms of, like their milestones at the minute are developmental milestones.
What do you want a sticker for? You've not
Yeah.
done anything.
Yeah. Well done. You've gone to the toilet by yourself. Well, that is a proud moment.
It is a proud moment. That's the thing. And I know what you're saying. Like they haven't achieved like much in terms of the world. But
yeah, I'm not going up to anyone going, oh, they got an A on their GCSE maths.
Yeah.
It's like, she's trying to speak.
But
like,
because you see the whole process.
Yeah.
You see what they were before. Potato babies.
Yeah. But at the minute, our little boys, like you said over Christmas, like Noah just grew up. He's just all of a sudden independent.
Oh.
And he can dress himself now. So he would just show up in our room dressed. And I'm like, you're amazing. Like, but you can dress yourself.
Yeah. But it's fascinating though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like I had a kind of proud moment this week, but it was also like horrible, as in stressful week to begin with. No, it wasn't very well at the beginning of the week, and we had a hospital appointment with her consultant on the Thursday. It was supposed to be just a chat, but I think I mentioned this before. She's becoming a little bit scared of blood tests, and so like she's having like nightmares and waking up going, no more blood tests. And when you talk about it, she won't let you touch one of her hands where the recent blood test went onto it.
Oh.
And it is quite sad because, like, you look under the light and she's got scars all over her hands from where all the blood tests have gone and all the needles and stuff. Because she just had so many, like, and but it was like, look, no, there's no blood test today. We're just going to chat to the doctor, and she was brilliant. We got to the doctors, and the first thing it was like, right, you need a blood test and a urine sample, and it was like I just watched her, and she's only like 2.5, but she completely understood.
Yeah.
And she like just froze and like went into herself, and we were just chatting, and then. And then she was like, "It's just a blood test." This is her speaking, and just a blood test.
Oh no.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Bless her.
And so she put on a brave face,
It's like reassuring herself.
Yeah, and like we did the whole thing. She did a urine sample, like literally. So before it would take us literal hours trying to catch a wee whenever it happens. This time, they can put a bag on, like literally a bag over the whole area, which will catch something.
Yeah.
She didn't go at all when that was on. I took it off, sat on the potty. It's like, we need a urine sample. And she went, okay. And just pushed really hard. Weed. It was done. Perfect.
Oh.
Then it came time for the blood test. And what made it worse is that there were 3 nurses in the little room we were waiting for, which is a bit like scary, a bit daunting for people that don't know as a 2-year-old. And she was fine up until they got the needle out. And then we literally had to hold her down. It was horrible. And like she screamed and cried, all that sort of stuff. But it was done. As soon as it was done, she went, "That didn't hurt. All done."
Oh, bless her.
And like she was crying in stress because she was just stressed about the situation. It wasn't that it was hurting. She was just
the thought of it.
The thought of it all. But as soon as it was done, she was like, "Daddy, wipe my tears away." I was like, "Oh." That was a proper proud moment and it was just, I was just like, "Let's just go to the toy shop. Just pick anything,
whatever you want."
But
I'm proud of her.
I know. Oh,
wow.
but it's one of those weird ones because now she had a plaster on from the blood test, but every time she would see it, she'd want it covered.
Right.
She would, like, as soon as she remembered it was there, she wouldn't move her arm, and it was like this weird process of having to reassure a 2-year-old that it's a plaster. It's not hurting. It's all right. It might hurt a little bit. As soon as the plaster falls off, that means it's better. And it's like trying to get into her head where actually all she's known is just constant blood tests and all these sorts of things. And it must have scared her.
Yeah.
And we can't say there won't be any more blood tests. We can't say that this won't happen again. But she's also trying to find the balance of going, you can't be scared of it. Like, you don't need to be scared anymore. Like, there's no pending blood tests at the moment.
But she knows it hurts.
But she knows it. And I think she remembers the moment, which is difficult.
Yeah.
But as soon as you talk to her and explain it, she's like, "It didn't hurt. It's all right." And she'll just like, you can watch her face go from scared to like building herself back up just to get over it.
Yeah. Oh.
And it's like simultaneously devastating, but also really like proud.
Yeah.
At the same time. Like, I hate that she has to do it, but I'm also so proud that she just picks herself back up.
Yeah. Her response to it.
Yeah.
Needles do hurt though, don't they? When I had the COVID vaccine, I haven't had to have jabs for like 6-7 years. And then when I had my vaccines, I was like, dear me, like, I've forgotten how much it hurts.
I think what makes it worse is that someone who has a lot of blood tests, she doesn't have many clear veins. Something she inherited from her mother. It's impossible to find veins on her. So they have to usually go in like 2 or 3 times, which makes the whole process worse.
Ugh.
Yeah. But
bless her.
But bringing it back to that thing of just being proud is like at 2.5 years old, like kids have such a capacity just to like build themselves back up and still have it blows my mind like the capacity that they have as small tiny children, especially when they were like potatoes 2 years ago.
Yeah, they're cleverer and more calculated than.
There's just so much going on.
They just can't articulate it.
Yeah, there's so much going on.
Yeah. Bless her. I'm proud of her. So cast your mind back. We had a message from Yeva.
Yes.
Giving us the wonderful news that she's joining the parent club.
Ah, yes.
And I said that she had another part of the message that I wanted to consult our wives on.
Yes, I remember now.
And so this was it. She says, I do have a question. Did your wives choose to have a doula? If yes, can you speak on the experience? And if no, did it ever come up in conversation? And how did you choose not to have one?
So this is, and it's a terrible excuse, but this is probably one of those things that my wife would have spoken to me about, and I immediately forgot. And so the first time we come into contact with that again, all I'm imagining is medieval English duels, jousting.
A doula.
Yeah, because
I'm a doula by profession.
you know that film, what was it, The Knight's Tale?
Knight's Tale.
That's like one of like French.
Yeah.
It's like a doula.
Wow. Why would I have someone on a horse with a lance?
Don't know. Does it?
Sir, remove your armour in this ward.
Does it help with inducing labour? I'm sure
Yeah.
it does with the stress.
Your horse is drinking out of the birthing pool. So do you know what? Yeah, I've got to hold up my hands and say, didn't even know what a doula was, never heard of it. So I had to Google it. And this is what Google told me. A doula is a trained professional who provides expert guidance for the service of others and who supports another person through a significant health-related experience such as childbirth.
So it's like a professional birthing partner.
That's how it sounds, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they will support them and just be generally a friend
Yeah.
through birth.
Did your wife consider it?
So when I asked her about this, she said that she'd heard of them but never really considered it. She said, "Is it not an American thing?" Which I think that's her reaction to everything that we're not aware of. It's got to be an American
It's
thing.
got to be American.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. It's got to be an American thing. But she did have this app. Oh, and I should have got her to tell me what it was called. But it was kind of like hypnobirthing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But when I was, and again, I'd never heard of hypnobirthing before we had a baby. And it just turns out it's breathing techniques. I was thinking, I'm not having you be hypnotized. That's weird. But it's just birth control. It's just breath control. And this app kind of just had soothing music on, and it had someone. It was a bit weird. She turned it off after a while because she was like, "This is doing my head in." But it would just have the breaths, and it would track your contractions. So it would be like in 2, 3, 4, and out for 8 seconds. I'll always remember it. In for 4, out for 8. And then it would track your contractions, but it'd have this music on and words of affirmation. And one of them was like, "You are a lioness, and your body was made for this." Things like that. I think it was at that point she was like, "Turn this off."
I'm not against it if it works.
Well, that's what we say for everything, isn't it? Whatever gets you through. So so she didn't consider a doula, but did have this app that provided a bit of guidance and support. And then when we phoned the hospital, it was like, "We think it's happening." And they said, "How long are your contractions and how often?" And it was all there on this app. So it was really quite helpful because it was all just recorded and tracked.
See, this is one of the areas where I'm actually like really intrigued because I don't have any experience of pregnancy. I mean, as a man, my wife being pregnant past 28 weeks.
Yeah.
So we didn't even do any birthing classes or anything. That whole side of it is a complete mystery to me. Genuinely, I don't know anything. Like all the antenatal classes, those.
Oh, we had 2 of those.
Those are things.
Yeah, I was really disappointed with ours because you hear stories. I don't know if this was a 90s thing. Because
Is that where, like, supposedly you find really good friends?
there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, here we go. These are going to be all our friends. And this this guy, and I've got like my name on. You write your name on and stick it on you. And this guy sits down next to me, and I said, "Oh, you're right, mate. I'm Jordan. Nice to meet you." He goes, "Nice to meet you." And that was it. I was just thinking, cool. Like, I know your name's Matt.
Not getting friends forever
yeah,
vibes.
he was just thinking, "Don't talk to me. I don't want beer." Like Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's what he was thinking. Maybe he just thought, "Get away from me with your zebra-like eyebrows." I don't know. But he was just not game. He was not up for it. And then we had a bit of an awkward one where there was another couple who we had to break off into small groups and kind of talk about our expectations and stuff. And he'd had kids before in a previous marriage. His current wife, this was her first. And so she mentioned about doing it again. And he was like, "I'm not doing it again." She went, "Well, you never know." He went, "No, I do." And it was like, she was kind of joking, but he was serious. And we were like, and I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, awkward or anything like that, like awkward silence. I just think it's silent. But I was saying to my wife, this is awkward. Wasn't that awkward? And for me to be saying it must have been awkward. So, yeah, it was a bit weird. I had one guy on the left who just didn't want to speak to me. One guy on the right that didn't want any more kids. But, yeah, antenatal. The best thing about our antenatal classes were they told you where to park. So I knew exactly what to do.
Is that where they like teach you? Is that where they teach you like the breathing exercises or the? I don't know. What do they actually? What's the main thing that they're supposed to achieve?
So I think we could pick a few topics. I can't remember what we did two.
Oh, okay.
One of them, I remember her having what's the word? A dummy, like a skeleton of the body.
Oh yeah.
With this baby doll, and she just showed you how the baby like makes its way through the body and out, and that was like kind of helpful. And she was like, "This is why we tell you to sit like this." And I thought that's really helpful for me to know, because if in the the hullabaloo, my wife forgets what she should do, where to sit, I could be like, right. So that was quite helpful to see all that. The parking, yep, top tip. That was brilliant. And I can't remember the others. The memory loss is kicked well and truly in.
There are so many things that you just don't know if you'd never had children.
Yeah. I remember them getting us to hold this doll and guess the weight of it. And like nobody was anywhere near. Everyone was really far off. So yeah, and then second time, was it COVID time? Yeah, it was COVID, so that there was nothing was on.
That's so strange, because it's even like the concept of a doula. Is it a doula?
Doula.
We can't pronounce Mark, let alone doula. Doula?
I think it's doula.
I actually quite like the idea of it, to be honest. Like someone who knows, a professional that knows what they're doing.
I bet you like the idea of it. Right. I'm going to leave you in Mavis. I'm off.
No, I think just having somebody there who knows exactly what's going on, but also, because in hospitals, doctors come in, they go out, the nurses come in, they leave. No one's with you constantly. It's like reassuring you what's going on. And so just having someone who knows the process to reassure you there, that sounds amazing.
Oh, it does. Yeah. But then also, I'm not sure I'd want this stranger there.
That's another point.
I don't think I'd want anyone there. Like, because you hear people that, have their parents there or sister or something. For me, it was just like, this is us starting our family.
Yeah.
And I really like the idea of just the two of us being there together. I'm sure for women it's different feeling because it's their body, it's their experience. I'm not like my wife gets on well with my mum. I'm not sure she'd want her mother-in-law there when she's like naked on a bed pushing out a baby. Like I'm not so sure that's an experience she'd want to share with someone that's not her immediate family. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I really like the thing of like, this is me and you starting our family together. And we did have a midwife with us from start to finish. I think we had one change. So we had two midwives, one at the start and then one that saw us through right to the end.
So do they literally stay with you the whole time?
It all depends on their shift patterns. So the big bulk of our birth was with this one midwife who just was in for the majority of the night with us, or the majority of the afternoon through to the night.
Wow.
I think it's all blurry haze, but yeah, that was nice.
So that's probably why as well, like my perception of a doula would be helpful, because again, my experience of the whole birthing process is so different. Like me and Em were completely separated, and I wasn't even there when Noah was actually born, but no one was there.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's maybe it's different in different healthcare systems. Maybe that's where they kind of come from.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd be interested to hear from someone who is a doula.
Or has used one.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting, that.
Yeah. Let us know.
Maybe it's a career path that we could pursue.
Yeah. If that is something that you doula, let us know.
That's a good one.
So, Jace, last week we had, last week we had Daisy on.
We did.
And I had a wonderful bit of feedback from a friend of mine.
On.
So, went and did the park run.
Yeah.
Saturday. And my friend Georgie was there, and she said, "Love the episode with Daisy. I've been using it on our dog."
Were the results the same? Was it?
I have to find out. So it came out Friday, and I saw her Saturday. So, but she was going, I was listening, thinking, I need some of these for the dog. So yeah, she's not letting the dog sleep on the bed anymore. Trying to get him out of the room and be consistent with it. This is what she told me she was going to do. Need to ask her how it goes in the first week.
That's brilliant.
But this kind of ties in with a bit of a daddy issue for me. So I mentioned that our son is dropping his nap, and we know he needs to do it. He doesn't have it at nursery. But then there are some days, like I said, where we go out in the car and he'll fall asleep. But him dropping that nap is really affecting him in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Because he is just so tired and he's so grouchy and not petulant, that's not the right word, but quite, what's the word? He's resisting a lot of stuff just because he's tired. And I know people go, oh, you shouldn't say they're tired and you shouldn't, credit bad behavior with tiredness, but like he's genuinely just tired because he's dropping this nap. And it's really challenging. Really challenging. So for like the last couple of hours of the day, you're trying to end on a positive. You're trying to go to bed on a good note, but it's there are some days where it's just.
Is it just like complete overtired?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we've been having the exact same thing. Because when you mentioned that Luke was dropping his nap, and I thought, oh, fantastic! I've got 8 or 9 months left with Noah having a nap. No, literally that week.
He's late dropping it.
She dropped her nap in the day, and exactly the same thing. She was a nightmare at night because she was so overtired. Even the simplest of things that she used to love to do, she just refused to do them, and like bedtime was taking so long. We've now employed a little quiet time in the day.
I've heard about this.
So
yep.
I pick up my daughter from nursery, or my wife picks up my daughter from nursery, but then hands her over to me on Monday and Tuesdays at lunchtime. And so for the first hour and a bit, it's just tried to be her best of calming playtime. And what she's often doing is just sitting on the sofa with me. She probably could sleep, but she's still trying to fight it. And so we just chill, keep it as calm as possible. She'll often go get her dolls and do health checks on them.
Yeah.
But then, like at 2:30, we'll go out and do something. But a full hour of just like calmingness as much as possible, and that is hard as well. But that has been helpful so far, of just trying to force a quiet time. Because even now, even if she is shattered, she will refuse to sleep in the day, which is really bizarre.
Yeah.
Because I would love to sleep in the day.
Oh, man. I nearly did sleep in the day driving here. Oh, man. That was scary. I don't want to moan about being tired, but I had to phone my wife. Bear in mind, I got here at like 5.
Yep.
So it's not late. It wasn't even dark. And I could just, do you know when your eyes are heavy and you're trying to keep them like wide open?
Yeah.
Put my air conditioning on, try to make the car as cold and uncomfortable as possible. Check my mirrors. The next thing, I can only describe it as when you stand up too quickly and everything goes a bit blank. Like my eyes were open, but I couldn't really see. And then like I noticed I was veering out my lane a little bit. So I was like, this is, so I just had to phone my wife straight away. I was like, I need you to speak to me because I am shattered.
Did you have the windows down?
At one point I did, yeah. I was like, getting blurry eye.
I the worst case, and this was pre-children. There was no one else in my car when this happened. I was driving home late at night, very tired, and it was a bit foggy. And I remember I was following this car in front, and all of a sudden I realised that the car in front of me was cartoon.
Animation?
Yeah.
No way.
And then my brain went, "You're asleep."
No.
Yeah.
How long do you think for?
It mustn't have been long, because when I opened my eyes, the car was still in front of me, but a little bit further
so
away.
Your eyes were closed.
Yeah, my eyes were closed. I was full on, like, conked. It mustn't have been long, but I literally pulled over at the garage and like had some food, but I was so tired.
Mate, I think I must have, because my eyes were open, and when I say I couldn't see, it must have been less than a second maybe, but it felt like a lifetime.
That's the thing
Just
as well.
so weird.
You never know.
Yeah, it was so weird, but yeah, not too good. But yeah, this cycles back to the whole waking up at 5 o'clock thing.
Yeah.
He's so tired and he needs a nap because he's waking up early. And so the only way we're going to solve that is by taking the nap and making... So like yesterday, he fell asleep in the car and I made sure I woke him up as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
But since speaking to Daisy about the grow clock, and I felt a bit sorry for Daisy because like everything she said, I was like, tried it. But what about this? Tried it. And so I felt a bit sorry. And I messaged her privately. I was like, just to let you know, this has worked. So Daisy mentioned about doing a reward.
Yeah.
And I said, we've tried that. And it was the Jessie and the Bullseye toy. So like big prizes at stake. But, and this is where we've tweaked it, we said to him, if you can stay in your room for 3 days straight, you'll get the toys. What I did on Tuesday, the day after we recorded, he loves this cereal, like Crave.
Oh, yeah.
With the chocolate in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's got good taste.
But it's chocolatey, so kind of try not to give it him too much. Stay with me. And you're gone.
I'm gone, mate.
And I said to him, if you stay in your room till your clock's yellow, we can have cereal with the chocolate in tomorrow. Ooh. And he stayed in his room.
Yeah, the immediacy.
The immediacy of it. I think that's what got it, was the fact it's not 3 days, it's not a distant thing, it's right, when you wake up tomorrow, we'll go downstairs and we'll have some cereal. And that's what worked.
Amazing, because that's so funny, because me and my wife have been, not debating, well, it's more of a debate, about like how to discipline like our child. And she was trying to explain to me that, no, when she was 2, she doesn't understand the concept of that. If I'm naughty in this area, it affects this completely other unrelated thing. And I couldn't get that in my head. Like, of course you can understand. It's consequence. But there's like a legit thing of, if it's not related, like directly related, the consequence doesn't make sense for a 2-year-old. Of course, now I understand that. But it's that thing of the rewards immediately work wonders. The problem with me is I'm a pushover.
So even if she doesn't,
I'm
she
just
gets it.
straight to the let's go get a little toy.
Do you remember, Dad, how well I did with my my blood tests?
She does it.
So yeah, that worked. And so that was, we spoke, it's Monday today, we spoke to Daisy last Monday. I'd say 4 out of the 6 nights he's gone through till 10 to 7.
That's amazing.
Yeah. One night we forgot to put the clock on. So that's our own fault. He came in and said it wasn't yellow, but we hadn't turned it on. But it was still about 20 to 6. No, 7. So an extra hour than what he would have slept through. Nice. And then the other night is a day he'd had a nap in the car. So I think with Daisy's advice of, be a bit stricter with the clock, so we take him back in the room rather than just say, right, go back, or let him in our bed. We like take him back in and say, you got to stay here. The immediacy of, you'll get something tomorrow, something really little like a bowl of cereal, and then kind of keeping that cohesion through the week.
And it's worked.
As seems to have worked. Hopefully.
Amazing. 6
days, early days. But if we keep on at that rate of, 2 bad for every 4 good.
Yeah.
That's better than 6 bad.
That's way better.
So yeah, shout out to you, Daisy, because I think you might have helped a big chunk there.
That's amazing. It's like we almost just invited a sleep wizard on just for ourselves.
It's kind of like it, isn't it? So if you have got any messages, any questions, any funny stories, please do send them in. Jason, where can they send them to?
You can send them Instagram and TikTok at Parenting Tools Pod. And we genuinely do love every single message that comes in. It's so helpful.
Makes the show.
And funny.
Yeah, makes the show. So thank you for listening. Once again, we really do appreciate it. And if you are a new listener, fairly new listener, why not let us know where you're listening from? Because we love the international listeners.
Oh, we do. And we love to mispronounce your names, even if you're not international.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.